how to put words to that. Anyway, welcome to the off night, episode number 239. 239. We're coming up on 5 years doing this. And we've got three of our regulars tonight, Susan, Sam, and Jason. And if you'd like to join us, let me help you out here. Got to go to my banners here. If you'd like to help us out here, you can. Oh, first of all, I'd like you to, if you like us, there is our YouTube page. You can go, if you're on YouTube, watching us on YouTube. YouTube does get forwarded to other sites. Just go back to your YouTube. Everybody's got YouTube. Go ahead and click the like button for us and the subscribe button. And you can, the subscribe button you want to hit is the one that's on the video that you're watching right now. Or you can go to youtube.com at the off night, just as it says right there. That's one of our little helpers there. What else have I got here? If you'd like to, if you're on YouTube, go to this address. And I said last week I was going to work on making that easier, and I didn't. But anyway, that's how you go. Add a little comment there. We have had comments before, even without this solicitous begging. But if you want to go there, and your comments, we can put them on the screen. We can respond to them. That's a way for you to get involved with the show without actually getting on. If you'd like to get on with us, on camera with us, that's the address right there, streamyard.com/ a bunch of letters and numbers. Go on there, have a computer or a phone with a camera, a mic. You will come on to what is called a dashboard page. That's the page that I see as the creator of this cast. And I'll be able to see who it is. I can usually have a little discussion with you, text-wise, so as not to interrupt the show. If you're somebody that we all know, or at least I know, and I think you have some contributions to our discussion, we can have you join in. We can have up to 6 people at a time on the screen with our account. If we can ever get some advertising or viewership that allows us to generate some revenue, we can increase that to, I think I saw the highest amount you can increase the account to is 10,000 people in at a time. I don't think we would ever want that. 6 is hard enough to manage. 4 is hard enough to manage, for crying out loud. Anyway, that's that. Tonight, here, I created this. This is kind of nice. Tonight's contributors, Sam, Jason, Susan. And I always put stars from the N Club may drop in. I always invite them. Some of them tell me that they watch. Not always live, but this every Monday night, 8 to 9, we're here live. And then it stays on YouTube until the following Monday night at 8 o'clock when it's replaced with the new one. All right. I think that's all the preliminary stuff. I'm going to put this back on. There we go. Yeah. And I'm going to bring Susan out here because Susan is our poet. She begins the show every week where she takes the headlines in the news and she writes a poem. And I can't say we use it all the time for our agenda for what we're going to talk about because we kind of wing it and go off topic a lot. But we certainly do appreciate Susan's efforts. And
thank you. Because Mark,
are you ready?
You mentioned that you said you were going to do something and then didn't do it. Shocker.
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. So that you wing it because you're not organized and don't have an agenda. Again, shocker.
Welcome to Sue's nightmare. All right. Anyway, I'm going to put you on by yourself, and you're going to give us our poem. I'll be back after you're
done. Okay. Here's your poem with a few of the headlines. Biden is in Angola, a visit that should be for the best. Agenda is the railway project to export resources to the West. At stake are supplies of minerals, such as copper and cobalt, and economic advancement for Africa. Hope trip is worth its salt. Hunter Biden received a presidential pardon on Sunday. Trump weighed in, and here is what he had to say. Quote, an abuse and miscarriage of justice, unquote, from a felon with 34 convictions is really of note. Will President-elect Trump pardon January 6th rioters? For those convicted, hope for similar miscarriage of justice endures. The Orion Nebula is the only nebula that can be seen with the naked eye. So look up after dark on December 13th for a great show in the sky. That's your poem. Back to you, Mark. And don't forget to hit that like button if you like the poem.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to separate the poem from the rest of the show so you can roll up your likes without having to. Actually, you know what? I bet if we recorded that and made a recording of it and we added it, we could then separate it.
Sure, but that's something you'd have to, do in advance, and you're not good with following through.
Isn't that what this is all about? Just winging it as you go? I mean, anyway,
right.
I appreciate your efforts. And here's the weird thing about it. As natural as cracking wise and jokes come to me, your poems, when I see you do this, it is so natural for you to do it. It makes it look like it's not an effort. But I do appreciate the talent and the effort that you put into that. I've seen you do this. I've seen you do these in like a few minutes before the show before. So it's kind of exciting to watch you work.
I just need a couple of headlines and I can make them rhyme or almost rhyme.
Do you still want, you talked about working for John Oliver's show. Are you still
I would love to do research for him.
I know, because you're
that would bring my comedy, my writing, and my paralegal skills all together in one perfect storm of fun and social commentary.
So if there are any, we do try to keep this in the comedy world, which is a very small portion of the entertainment world, but that is a comedy show, and I think it would be right up your alley. So if anybody wants to get a hold of Susan, you can't get a hold of her, you can get a hold of her through me. We'll get you on that show. Anyway, so are you ready to? Oh, I know you like to stick around. I know you can't stick around.
Yes, I want to say hi to everybody. You like to
stick around until you say hi to everybody. So from New York, here he is from New York. Everybody's favorite.
It doesn't
Sam
matter
Greenfield,
at this point.
everybody.
I'll be talking. I don't give a shit.
Oh, whatever light you added, Sam, this is perfect.
I want to say something. I want to say that this is how you know that Susan and Mark have a very strong, solid marriage. Mark took 3 shots to the head over not having any follow through. At least 3 shots to the head. And he handled it with aplomb and good humor and good grace, like it wasn't even said. On the other hand,
he knows that about himself. It's self-awareness.
Yeah, right. I, on the other hand, attempted to go to the bathroom, which is harder for me now because of my age and my back and other stuff. And Barbara looked at my underwear and said, I look like an incontinent dog.
Oh, no.
But I said, you know what? We're both married to comics, so I mean, that makes it a little bit easier, you know.
And I said, well, if anybody deserved a companion like a dog, it would be you, sweetheart.
Oh man.
Now eat from your bowl and shut the fuck up. What?
Yeah. You're gonna pay for that one, Sam.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm paying as we speak.
Yeah.
Did you know Elton John is going blind? Is blind.
No kidding.
Yeah, blind now, right now. Had an eye infection a couple of years ago, and it multiplied, and Somebody said something to me, which I thought was very funny. Do you think he can still play piano? I said, are you kidding? He could play it with his chin.
I know.
Please.
Can he still play piano?
He's been playing for 70 years. He's been playing for 70 years.
Yeah. Can Stevie Wonder still play? I mean, what kind of stupid question is that? It's not like it's Beethoven who went deaf. It's.
And he went. and his husband David Furnish, is there to support him, and Stevie Wonder to me is the most miraculous musician of all time.
Those are the last two concerts I've seen, Stevie Wonder and Elton John, and they're both of them have a catalog that allowed them to play for 3 hours. I mean, it was just amazing.
I don't understand. I don't grasp, I should say, how he's able to talk about colors and love and the ghetto. And, I just don't. He must have marvelous tutors and marvelous teachers. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and by the way, Susan, your poem was terrific.
Thank you. Don't forget to go out and see Orion's belt and all the other parts of Orion.
On the 13th.
That's really bright this month.
If you see me go out to do anything other than go, if you touch my back, I'll kill you.
Even with light pollution, you should be able to see it. It is so bright. I don't know. I like the
constellation.
Is it?
It is.
It's one of the few I recognize without help.
That's why I like it.
Orion's belt. Doesn't Orion's belt point to Alpha Centauri or something like that? I can't remember all that from. I took astronomy in college because I needed a science credit. I took biology, I took chemistry, and I took astronomy.
One of the great joys of my life was going to the. I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Physics was just a little bit too much math for me. So
one of the great joys of my life as a child was going to the New York Planetarium. I literally was awestruck. I just looked up and I went, this is so, it makes you feel so small. The only thing that makes me feel smaller is when Barbara talks to me. But except for that, this is really fabulous. I get such a kick out of it.
Speaking of planetariums, if you come to the Metro Detroit area, there is a really good one at Cranbrook.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if you hit the West Coast, Griffith Park Observatory is amazing.
Oh, Griffin Park, yeah.
Wasn't it Cranbrook Planetarium? Wasn't it the Scripps family that built that?
I don't know.
I'll have to look that up. Anyway, let's get Jason out here so you can say hi to him before you have to take off. Here's Jason Grant. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey,
Chairman,
wow.
Chairman Jason.
Chairman.
Jason, where's my bok choy?
Hi, Jason.
That is Premier Cho and Live.
Does Jason have to leave early?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Jason doesn't have to leave
early.
Tryptophan show.
No, I'm here. Hail the revolution.
He doesn't have to leave early.
No, I'm good.
Everybody seeing that photo.
Where's the like button? Oh, I see it. I don't see the like button.
Seeing that photo reminds me of Bobby Slayton's bit about the Chinese waiters. It's so hard to talk to anybody about Bobby Slayton's bits because you never see the same show twice. You know what I mean? But he brings stuff back every once in a while. But he did that bit about he goes, you go into a Chinese restaurant, they have everything you ask for. Does that come with pork? Yeah, come with pork. That come with pork. It's the type of stuff that Bobby's got to have his own audience because the idiot audiences today that would be offended by anything, even stuff they shouldn't be offended by, it shouldn't be offended by that.
He used to do the
usually
bit
more
where he said, dog world, unless you're Korean, and then it's a man-eat dog world.
Oh
no! Too soon!
Oh no!
After Trump's comments,
no.
Too soon!
No!
Yeah. Well, you know what? And that was my comment after that whole fiasco. As I said, he says the Haitians are eating the dogs, and kind of Vietnamese and Koreans are going, hey, what do you mean, the Haitians? That's our gig.
Well, he used to do. The bit he did about Phil Hartman, right?
No. What's the bit he did about Phil Hartman?
He goes, let me get this right.
All right.
Yeah, it'll get dark. Phil, he said, let me get this right. He says, Phil Hartman's wife kills him, kills herself, and then leaves her children as orphans. I thought my wife was a bitch.
Oh, God.
Again, too soon.
Oh,
Do you know who has been banished from Hollywood because of that whole thing?
No.
Andy Dick.
Because
Andy Dick.
Andy
I
Dick.
think
Because
he
it was
did
Andy
other
Dick.
horrible
Yeah.
things.
Well, they were working
so.
on a show together. They were working on a show together at the time.
Andy
Yeah.
Dick
On
got
news
his
radio.
wife, got what's his name's wife,
yeah,
Phil Hartman's wife, back on drugs. She was been sober,
Oh, shit.
and he got her.
Oh, my
Yeah,
God.
and he got her to do coke.
I wondered why we haven't
And-
seen him in a while.
And he walks into a bar where John Lovitz, who was Phil Hartman's very dear friend, and he goes,
Right.
"Hey, guess who I got to kill themselves?"
Oh, my God.
Oh.
He's not a good guy. He's not a good
I guess
guy,
not.
No, Andy Dick is a monster.
and uncharacteristically, Lovitz had to be physically restrained. He said, "I was going to kill him. I was going to strangle him, and I was going to gladly and willingly go to jail for ending that prick's life."
Yeah,
There's a lot
about right.
There's a lot of people that do not like Andy Dick.
Oh, there's legions.
Well, they have
Well,
to
I've
be
never
right.
met him, and I don't care to meet him, but I'd like to meet John Lovitz.
Yeah.
John Lovitz, he's an easy meet.
And very pro-Israel.
Well,
John is, yeah.
I mean, beyond reason.
Okay. Well, I
Well,
didn't put any of that in your poem tonight. Let's see how things shake out with this piece that's not going so well. And
well, Trump's going to get
maybe
in there
it'll be in
straighten
next week's poem.
God, Shatner looks like he stepped on a tack.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Look at this.
Hope
look
y'all
at this.
had a happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to hit the road here.
All right. See you,
Susan.
Susan.
Thank you for
Bye,
Thank you.
Susan. Thank you for the poem.
Thanks for kicking us off. Or however you reacted. Sam, we're seeing you from the mustache up. If you want to adjust your camera, we don't need to see
How's
your
that?
Yeah, perfect.
I'm lazy.
Oh dear.
I'm in a bathrobe. I feel like I look like Orson Welles' son.
You do a little bit. All you need is to get rid of the plastic lenses and have wire frames. Get those wide.
The one.
Now, what picture is that, Jason?
That is from Star Trek with Gary Lockwood and Sally Kellerman from the.
That's Sally Kellerman.
And what's interesting is they are both wearing contacts that are actually a silver contact to make their eyes have that glowing thing, and they were custom made, and I'm told incredibly painful to wear. And the reason why they had their head kind of cocked back is because there's a small slit that they can actually see out of. Otherwise, the damn things were pretty much opaque. But it makes for a great shot,
Let me ask you guys something.
Yes.
None of you smoke cigarettes, right?
No.
I do. I used to until I was.
But now.
Like 30. No, not. I haven't done it in 60 or 34 years.
Right. I haven't smoked in decades either. If you had a part in a movie where it required you to smoke, and they said you could, what is that stuff? It's not tobacco. It's
Hookah,
no, it's some kind of fragrant.
cloves. Some people smoke cloves.
Inhale something. Would you do it?
Vape?
Yeah.
Like a vape pen or something?
I
could do it.
They'd have to pay. Well, I'm a cancer survivor. They would have to pay me enough to support me for 3 years for that one gig.
Well, Mercedes McCambridge, who had to do the voice of the demon in The Exorcist, she had been sober for many years. But the only way she could play that voiceover to do that role, she said, I need a bottle of scotch and 2 priests to be in the room at the same time. And that's what they gave her. Friedkin's like, okay, good, done. Here you go. Here's the whiskey and the reverend.
I couldn't take the chance on the tobacco. I just couldn't. I have cancer now. What am I, insane? Yeah. No, I can't do it.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Right. So there we go.
Oh, there's Maud's daughter.
There you go. I figured I can't go wrong doing a podcast with you two and Adrienne Barbeau. You know, that's going to work no matter how.
Adrian Bob Boom.
There you go.
Is she still around?
Yeah.
Yes.
She is?
You know?
Okay. She doesn't act
Yep.
anymore, though, right? Never see her in anything.
Keeping abreast of Hollywood.
Well, I mean, it's hard to believe Maude was, what, 50 years ago now? Can it possibly
I
be
sent
that
you this
long?
guy. I sent you this thing, didn't I? About when
Yeah.
certain things happened and how long ago it was.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
haven't had a chance. Yeah. And it's all
It happens to
crazy
everybody.
now.
It happens to everybody that grows old. It goes by fast, and you think, oh, that wasn't that long ago, and you realize it was, so.
I always love the thing where they say, oh, Lou Carnesecca, the great coach for St. John's, passed away today.
I
He's
heard
99
that.
years old.
Yeah,
But I love when, hello, Eartha. But I love
he was
when
he was Villanova, right? Or was he St. John's?
No, St. John's.
St. John. Okay. Who was the Villanova coach that was an elderly?
Oh man.
You remember who? Doesn't matter. But
Italian guy.
Yeah.
Well, he was Italian. He's the one who upset Georgetown.
Yeah. In Italian basketball.
All of those Jesuit schools: Georgetown, Villanova, St. John's.
He got nailed on a lot of improprieties. The guy, not Lou, but the other guy you're talking about.
The guy at Villanova.
Yeah. I hated him because I'm from DC and I like Georgetown. But they shot Villanova. Georgetown shot 8. Villanova shot 10 for 11, and they won by 2 points. They always say if they had played that game 10 times, Georgetown would have won by 9 of them.
Very likely. That was Patrick Ewing's Georgetown, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He had won the year before.
Yeah.
And
I always thought of Georgetown as like the East Coast Gonzaga, or Gonzaga is the West Coast Georgetown,
But Georgetown won a championship.
That's true.
Yeah, but Gonzaga is the alma mater of Bing Crosby, so they have that.
Is it? Really?
And they won Georgetown won a championship.
Yep. Yeah, in the Gonzaga archive, they have all of Bing's music, his sheets, and one of his toupees, just in case. I don't know if they have the belt that he used to beat his children nearly to death with, but I mean, they got a lot of stuff there from Bing. And let us thank Mr. Crosby, because in between abusing his children, he helped bring magnetic tape recording to the Western world. So
how about that?
Yeah, videotape, audio tape. The guy did something besides driving his children to suicide.
It went straight down the middle.
Speaking of which, when I hear you and Susan come on, and I'm just thinking the two of you just need to be in an Alec Baldwin production of Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh my God, my back hurts. Don't do that. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's very funny. That is very funny.
I think you'd both be perfect, and I think Mr. Baldwin is exactly the man to direct such an epic.
Let me pose this to you.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase is probably the most universally disliked guy in Hollywood.
It's up there.
He's up there with Bill Murray. Okay.
Oh wow, that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Bill Murray's got a horrible.
And the two of them in the one season they worked together as SNL fought all the time. Yeah.
Damn near killed each other.
Physically fought.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Damn near killed each other.
Here's my question.
And
it's not just about him, but about people of that ilk. Do you think they know they're despised?
No.
Nope. I don't think so.
I think
because I know people like that that aren't famous. They're just totally they're totally unaware of how they relate to people.
Well, a local example, and Mark, I know you'd know this. Bill Bonds. Remember Bill Bonds?
Yeah.
And that man. I knew several people in sort of an acting and theater background. Bill, I don't know what relationship he had, but they would encounter him at parties, and he is just as horrible as you thought he would be. He was just absolutely hated, and had no idea. Was absolutely clueless. Thought for sure that everything he said was wonderful, that it was all great and that people just worshipped him. And no, not so much.
Let me ask you something. How do I make my voice, my volume better, louder?
I don't know. Am I not coming through well?
You're
No,
talking
it's
about
me.
your volume? Your
Oh.
volume? Your volume is fine. Your volume sounds perfect.
There should
Okay.
be some toggles on the side of the iPad that control the volume.
Oh, yes, there
That's
is.
right. Or they will
Yes.
trip off a nuclear attack. So don't worry, it'll be fine.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry if you hit the wrong button.
Yeah, exactly. The worst that can happen is that you launch a nuclear strike, hopefully on me, and we can just get this charade over with. The sooner the better.
Really? Really? Do you think the missiles are aimed for Washtenaw County?
I'm okay now. There you go.
I am hoping, Mark. I know it's a bit narcissistic on my part. However, I've got coordinates if they need them, and we can facilitate that. It's just one of those things. Hopefully, actually, I joke. I hope the hell things. I don't know if they'll cool off with the coming administration or not. I hope they do, just because it's getting way too hairy. When the Russians launched their last missile strike on the Ukraine, they actually called the Pentagon because the type of missile they were launching would be the type of missile that would trigger our launch on warning response system for the United States nuclear arsenal. And that's not
great.
Good. Yeah, they actually picked up the phone and said, "We're launching a missile. You'll be seeing it in just a few seconds." And sure enough, there it was. So
I'll tell you. Go ahead. I'm sorry, please.
I'm just saying we need to find some way of throwing some water on this. I don't know how. I'm no genius. You guys maybe have better ideas than me, but it's got to stop.
I'll tell you what I think. I think that Trump's ego allowed him to run again. I think he's tired. I think he looks tired. I don't think he wants to do this. I think he just said, I'm going to win, and then we'll see what he has no energy. He has no energy for this fight. None. And a lot of things that people think, like my fucking cousin who grieves for a living, anything for the fight, he's going to be less. He's going to have less energy than, and it's not just his age. He has less energy for the fight than people think. I really believe that. And it's not optimism. I really think he's like, okay, yeah, Matt Gaetz, fine, yeah, whatever. He doesn't care. By the way,
isn't he like 80? Like 80
I'm sorry.
Or something like that. How old is he? 79, 80? I don't remember. How old is our new president?
Oh, he's like 78, 79, something like that.
He'll be 79 in June.
Yeah. So I mean, it's entirely within the realm of possibility that you could see President J.D. Vance. It is possible.
Yes. Oh, we're gonna long for the days of Trump.
Well, I mean, I have the
a
same
lot of people
question
think you pick vice president so that you will not be assassinated. You're
well. That's been true for a while. They told McKinley that when he took Teddy Roosevelt.
You know how many presidents in our country have been assassinated or have assassination attempts out of 47?
A lot of them have attempts.
11.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Reagan was the first. Reagan was the president since the before the Civil War that was elected in a year ending in 0 that did not die in office. Let me see if I can find that.
Really?
And he got shot too. He got shot. Yeah, Kennedy, Roosevelt. Who would have been in 1920? The guy who was in 1920. Anyway,
Woodrow Wilson.
Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah. Till the end of.
Who was the guy? Who was the guy that in the 1900 election? Who?
Garfield and McKinley.
McKinley.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. McKinley, not
Lincoln.
Garfield.
Yeah. Lincoln was 60. Who died in 1880?
No one in 1880 that I know of, because the only ones we've had assassinated are what? Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, Kennedy, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. And then the assassination attempts, there was Truman.
Yeah.
Roosevelt.
There was President-elect
Roosevelt. But both Roosevelts.
Well,
Roosevelts.
FDR they tried to kill him, and they ended up killing the mayor of Chicago. And why
Anton
the guy
Zermatt.
Yes, and the guy was tried, convicted, and executed before FDR could take the oath of office. And
He was executed before I finished this sentence. That's how bad they wanted to kill. They wanted to kill. By the way, you know what happened? The guy, it was in Miami, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And this little wiry Cuban guy,
Yeah.
He gets up on a seat in this auditorium, raises his arm to shoot Roosevelt. A woman sees this and knocks his hand up, and that's what killed the mayor of Chicago. They were actually out to kill, the mayor of Chicago, and they did.
The caterer, because they didn't. Well, but no, I remember.
And his and his last words were, Cermak's words were, "I'm glad it was me and not you." And Roosevelt said, "No shit."
Leonard Matlovich, who stopped Sarah Jane Moore from shooting Jerry Ford, and she might have Squeaky Fromm, who knows? But
and what was the other woman? Mary Jane.
Well, Sarah Jane Ford and Squeaky Fromm are the two assassins.
Right.
Would be well, Squeaky Fromm. She's part of. By the way, she's one of my favorite Christmas carols. Even Squeaky Fromm Loves Christmas. By Glenn Mason. Glenn Mason, a local Detroit fella. It's a wonderful ode to the family behind bars during Christmas season.
Well, the genius of Tarantino, by the way, is the fact that in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he gave Squeaky Fromm a personality.
Yeah.
There's a movie I still haven't seen.
You never saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I've never seen it.
Wonderful flick. And by the way,
we saw
as usual, he plays fast and loose with reality.
Yes. Well, I didn't I didn't get it until the end of the movie when I realized the movie's name was Once Upon a Time. It's a fairy tale. It's a fable.
That's right.
And that's when it kind of hit me. It's like, oh, I get it now. Because he does such a great job of recreating that era. That it is amazing.
He's the guy that killed Hitler in a theater. I mean,
yes, exactly.
Killed Hitler, killed Goering, killed Goering's mistress. Well, not Goering. Not Goering.
Himmler.
Who was his PR guy?
Goebbels.
Joseph Goebbels was the propagandist.
Oh my God.
Is that who you're talking
PR
about?
guy.
His PR guy.
Yeah, that was. How are my numbers?
How are my numbers?
Well, amongst the Hasidim, not so good.
I need to talk to the big A. I got a thing about the Jews. I'm gonna pitch it to the big A.
Do you remember when Jerry Lewis had his telethons?
Yes.
And Sammy Davis Jr. says, I love this. He goes, he's making appeal to money to people to contribute money, and he goes, folks, I'm just an entertainer. I'm no better than you or me, than you. But I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look into your soul and take a little money out of your pocket and lay it on me for the big cat up in the sky.
The big cat.
Oh God, I miss Sammy.
You think when he got it? You think when he got when Sammy went to the sky, he called him babe.
Well, you know the story. You know the story about Sammy Davis and Billy Crystal, right?
Billy Crystal used to do an impression of him, didn't he?
A great impression.
Yeah,
and he would do it like this. This is Sammy, baby. Leave a little word on the thing, and I'll dig you later. And Sammy didn't like it, so one day he calls Billy Crystal to gripe about it, and he hears this phone message that he does. And the message he leaves Billy Crystal is, man, this is too wacky. Well, you know the story about.
I would have taken that recording of Sammy and incorporated it into my outgoing message.
Oh, absolutely. But the one I love is when he went to the Playboy Club, Sammy Davis Jr., And the story
Yeah.
was he was bisexual.
Yeah.
Who knows? But anyway, so he's walking by one of the rooms in the mansion, and he sees this girl going down on Sammy Davis Jr. And the story goes that he walks into the room where she's doing this and goes, "Hey, babe, you mind if I groove on that thing for a minute?"
Well,
Groove on that.
apparently, according to Linda Lovelace, she had Sammy going down on Chuck Trainer, and Chuck was not happy about it, but he couldn't really do much about it because Chuck knew he was a low-life scum, and the only way he was going to get anything out of this was just sort of by being attached to Linda, and if that's what she engineered, then so. But he probably beat the hell out of her later.
He couldn't do anything about it. Sammy weighed 83 pounds.
Yeah, I know, but if Sammy points at someone and says, "That guy, I was blowing him, and then he slapped me. I want him out of here," he's gone.
Well, you know the story about Gloria Steinem and Chuck Trainer.
No, tell me.
Chuck Trainer was talking to her when she was a piece of, you would talk to her like she was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And she said to Chuck Trainer, "I think you're being a little tough on her." And he said, "I don't tell you how to write your stories. Don't tell me how to run my broads."
God. What a horrifying. Yeah, he's one of those people. It's like, I don't wish AIDS on many people. However, there's a select few that no, the man deserved it. He was a horrifying human being who wrecked the lives of everyone who got near him. Johnny Wad was the same way. Again, just a wretched human being. I suppose the type of industry they were in lends themselves to that sort of behavior. But yeah, well, what can I say?
always think about him. I always think about Chuck Trainer and guys like Chuck Trainer. And I think like a 19-year-old girl coming in from Keokuk, Iowa, to Hollywood. And that's who they run into.
Yep. At the bus station.
Yep.
Who is Chuck Trainer? Help the uninitiated here. Who is Chuck Trainer?
Sam, that's you. Fill him in.
Linda Lovelace's guy.
Yeah, that was the guy. He was a low-level porn impresario, and he discovered her and got her into the movies. But first he had her do a bunch of 8mm loops, including a very famous one that she denied for years, but other people said existed, of her with a German Shepherd.
I heard the Shepherd wasn't German.
What? You're right. That could be a slander. That could be just a.
I think it was Swiss.
I used at the show, Jason, at the show last night.
Yes.
Tim wasn't there, so I was doing the opening, and I was describing Tim as the comedy and theater impresario. Well, that got all the kids going to their phones to look up what impresario means.
Oh, God forbid.
And then Lisa Green stands up and she says, "Oh," and then she reads the description for impresario. I guess he is an impresario.
You know the saddest part about that they had to look up impresario, but they didn't care to look up who he was.
Yeah. Or they won't look up prestidigitation or
right. Oh, now there is Martin Landau.
Yep. And
I don't know who that is in the middle.
Yeah, some English dude.
And
Barbara
Bain. Now I love these stories about Jewish people who change their names.
Right.
Barbara Bain's real name was Millie Fogel.
You're kidding me.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea. Wouldn't surprise me.
Is that Jeffrey Hunter?
Yes, it is. Who was
died at 42 years of age.
Original Captain Kirk. Yeah, and apparently wifey kind of like when the series sold, she for whatever reason kind of screwed things up and he ended up getting recast, and that gave Bill Shatner his big chance on episodic television, which
what a great movie that was. That we're looking at now. What a great movie.
Is that the War of the Roses? Is that
yes, sir.
But
when she looks at him, and goes, Woof woof.
Woof
Woof
woof.
woof
Yeah.
woof woof. Woof woof.
And I think that they had to cut in the picture of the dog being around back just to let people know that no, she didn't really kill the dog. You know, because it was I don't know exactly. It was just too close to Medea. You know, I mean, because that was what they were alluding towards.
The woman who played their housekeeper,
Yes.
Marianne Sagebrecht.
Yes. Was that a Danny DeVito directed movie?
Yes,
I know
he directed it.
all right.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I love when she's rubbing his shoe, and he goes, "Oh, for Christ's sake, I haven't been in defeat since '91." He's had a hell of a record, a hell of a career.
Yes.
Who, Danny DeVito? Oh yeah.
No, I mean Michael Douglas. I'm sorry.
Michael,
yeah.
Well, both of them actually, but yeah, you know, I'd take either one.
Do you think that the son has surpassed the father?
Yes.
I'd say
which
so.
Is saying a lot. Which is saying a lot.
I'd say so.
But the father will always have my respect because he told McCarthy to go screw himself and started casting, hiring people who were on the blacklist.
And he told John Wayne to F off too, because John Wayne didn't want him
many
playing
times.
Vincent Van Gogh. Yeah,
many times.
And he told the Duke where to get off, and you know.
And I'll tell you something: in a fight, Douglas would have kicked his ass.
Unless John Wayne was dressed as Genghis Khan, in which case I don't know, man. I mean,
well, if you kiss him, you die of radiation poisoning. But, you know, but the thing about John Wayne, you know, this big bravado, never served in the, well, I didn't either, but never served in the military.
Nope.
Never got in a fist fight. Yep. All his fist fight stunts were, you know, stunt, you know,
yep.
He was a big punk. And there's a very famous picture of him. I hope you can find it. It shows him on the phone. He's wearing a Panama hat and he's wearing a clutch around his shoulder, a lady's purse, right? And very high Bermuda shorts. Yeah, that's him.
John Wayne. Oh my
John
God.
Wayne.
Oh
Here, I'm gonna take myself out of this so you guys can see this full picture.
Yeah, he absolutely has to have that. There's no doubt about that. So, oh boy.
All right, it didn't work the way I thought it was going to work. So,
well, put in John Wayne Panama hat. See if that, you know, kind of narrows things down and
wide brim. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm all about wide brim, but that means something different. You know, that's.
We're talking about hats, Jason. Hats.
Oh.
God damn it, Jason. By the way. The movie you're looking at now from Casino.
Yes, great film.
If you look at this movie really hard, okay, the scene where she hits the scene where she hits Joe Pesci, right?
Yes, yeah.
And he smacks the shit out of her.
Yep.
And grabs her and forces her along, you know, with Frank, whatever his name was. Frank, I can't remember his last name.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Forces her down the stairs.
Right.
And throws her onto. Right. Thank you. She never is in that scene.
Was that a stunt woman?
Yeah, but brilliant editing. I mean, the only time you see her is when he tosses her onto the street.
Well, isn't that also true in Psycho? I mean, with Janet Leigh, she's never naked in the shower. It's like a body double.
She's never naked in the shower.
And then the way they shoot it, you know, you never actually see a knife go in.
But that's more amazing to me, though, that the Casino, because you literally see a woman like 15 steps down the stairs.
Yeah.
And it's not her. Not for a second.
That is one of my favorite holiday films is Casino. I love to bust it out.
I want to see that again because I heard some comics talking about Don Rickles in that film. Because Brilliant. They said his best acting was that when he didn't have any lines.
Yeah.
It was just his facial expressions.
His reactions.
Yeah.
You know, Rickles was a graduate of the Actors Studio, right? You know, I mean,
yes.
the man has chops. You know, his first movie was with Clark Gable in Run Silent, Run Deep. If I'm
yes.
Burt Lancaster and Clark Gable. Yeah.
Right.
That was
Kurt Jurgens.
Yeah,
I love when he'd go on Carson and he'd give both Ed and Johnny shit because he was a lowly enlisted man in the Navy, and Johnny was an ensign, and Ed was a colonel in the United States Marines. And
yes, he was. He flew missions.
He flew P-38s. He was a fighter pilot. He stone cold killer. I mean, I love when
God bless him.
When George Goebel was on. George Goebbels was a fighter pilot instructor who never got into the theater. He always was an instructor. And Johnny asked him why he didn't get any kills. He said, well, they never got west of the Mississippi, so I never had a chance. When he's sitting there and Dean Martin is putting his cigarette out in his drink, and George doesn't notice it, but the audience does. Wonderful little things that we used to see on that show. Many
who
years
adored
ago.
Rickles? Letterman.
Yeah.
Letterman would he would shit all over Letterman, and Letterman would giggle like a school kid. And when they were doing the intros, they go, "Well, our guest tonight." It wasn't the intro, but our guest tonight is Don Rickles, and he would look at Paul Schaefer. He goes, "Paul, I'm going to tell you something. That man, Don Rickles, that's showbiz. That right there, that is show business. That is professional, high level, top quality show business. That man never cuts corners." And who else? And they wanted to book Burt Reynolds with Don Rickles, and Burt Reynolds said, "Could it be anybody but him?" And he goes, "Don't you like him?" He says, "I love him, but I won't stop laughing. I literally will not stop laughing. So I can't do this. I'll just explode laughing." And the one time I saw him on with him, and he looks at Bert and he goes, "Listen, I'm going to stop talking now. You can talk about that shitty suit you got on." And you could say, because they knew he was a really decent, sweet guy. And my favorite thing with him, with Rickles, he's doing the Kennedy Center, and Henry Kissinger's in the audience, and he goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, Secretary of State, Nobel Prize winner, Henry Kissinger. Henry, it's over." Go with the shitty. Go with the shitty. Go with the little Shagets and be happy with your life. And by the way, did you know that his brother had no German accent?
Yeah, that makes sense.
His brother had no what?
Passengers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My father was born and raised in the United States, but English was his second language. The house language was German. He spoke German, then he learned English. Never lost his accent. Never set a foot in Germany. It just happens that way sometimes. And sometimes I think they don't want to change. My father never wanted to speak English, I don't know, properly.
If it's too big a deal for them, then why bother? It's
Yeah, I mean, Dad was always Diesen and dis and just Plaudeutsch, total Plaudeutsch and
4 feet of snow in Buffalo, New York.
Well, there's a surprise. That's never.
Do they have a home game? Do they have a?
They played yesterday. They played yesterday.
They get the snow that we don't get. They call it the lake effect. And
wait a minute.
Chicago
wait, where are you going? I was going to make espresso.
Oh God!
Great line.
They wrote that part for Gene Hackman. They wrote that in there because Gene wanted.
He went unbilled, I believe.
Yes, and he wanted to be in this movie.
I think he worked. I think he worked for union minimum too.
Yeah, he worked for Scale. You know who else works for Scale? Bruce Willis in Nobody's Fool.
Yeah, just to be with Paul Newman.
Well, here's what happened. Bruce did background in The Verdict.
Yeah.
And he said it was the greatest teaching moment of his life. He said, it's like going to acting school. He said there was me and Lindsay Krause and James Mason and James Mason and who else?
And of course Paul Newman and the guy who's playing his rabbi, the older dude.
Right, I can't remember his name now.
The character actor who, I recently watched The Verdict again. I hadn't seen it in many, many years, and my God, is that a good movie? And James Mason is the embodiment of Satan. I love. He's the fucking Prince of Darkness.
Remember what they said about him? Remember
Yeah.
what they said? He said, "I think he's pretty good," and the guy said, "Pretty good. He's the Prince of fucking Darkness." What was that actor's name? God damn it, red hair.
Milo O'Shea.
He was in 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, the older guy got a face like a side of roast beef. Yeah.
Could you look that up, Mark?
What am I looking up?
The Verdict.
One of the actors in 12 Angry Men.
All right.
There's only 12 of them.
Yeah.
We're looking for the same guy who was also in The Verdict with Paul Newman.
And Shampoo.
Yeah. Which by the way, Shampoo. Go ahead.
I know who you're talking about. His name.
I know.
Jack something.
Yeah, Jack Warden.
Jack Warden. That's
Jack
it.
Warden.
There you go. There you go. Great actor. I remember
he was in. He was also in Heaven. Wasn't he in Heaven Can Wait? Also.
Yeah, he played his coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a story that when Paul Newman was doing Slapshot, Strother Martin was in that movie, just as he had been in with Cool Hand Luke. And there's some scene where Paul Newman said, "No, hold on. Strother's got a hat and a cane. No, take one of those things away from him because he's so good with props. He'll completely steal everything. If you let him have the cane and the hat. I mean, it just and when you look back at Slapshot and you see how Strother Martin just does, he chews up the scenery in every shot that he's in.
That was a hell of a cast.
Yes,
Arthur Hill, Julie Harris, Robert Wagner.
Yep. Great movie. Oh, and yeah. I've been actually, I've actually found a few episodes on YouTube of The Defenders and another one, Judd for the Defense. Some of these great 60s. Judd for the Defense, man, they were doing some. This is a 1960s
James
TV
Brolin.
show. Yeah, James Brolin was he was of course in Marcus Welby.
It was like The Defenders.
Yeah, but I mean they're doing stories about prostitution and homosexuality, and it's like, Mike, this was on TV in the 60s?
the opening moments of the first Defenders episode was amazing. It's in New York. And it shows William Shatner walking down a busy New York street.
Yes.
That's being redundant. But anyway,
yeah.
He bumps into this. He bumps into this hard hat. And he goes, "Excuse me, I'm sorry." And the hard hat's an asshole. And he goes,
Right.
"Oh, you think you're tough, Mr. Suit and blah, blah, blah." And he starts shoving him and starts shoving the hard hat starts shoving Shatner and and Shatner kills him because he had been a Green Beret.
Yeah.
And he reacted instinctively that way. So what happens is now that the trial is going along, for Shatner, things are looking good. Everything seems to be fine. He'll probably get off with a, small sentence. And the hard hat's brother jumps over the jury thing and says, "I'm going to kill you." And he kills him.
Who were the writers back then? Because people were
Sterling
writing.
Silliphant.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that answers a lot of questions.
Please don't ask me why I remember these things.
Well,
but I
Sterling
can't find my
Silliphant,
keys.
Wrote quite a few Outer Limits episodes and some other things. And I mean, again, talk about a guy who just, words just flowed out of him. I forget the guy who wrote Duel, the Dennis Weaver movie of the week.
Spielberg's first shot.
Spielberg's first big shot, but what a great movie.
That was a great movie.
What a terrific film. And I forget it.
Dennis Weaver was in that, right? Was that?
Yes,
Dennis
he was.
Yeah, I remember that film.
And I love how they said they got some of these shots. The truck is actually going fairly slow, but if they mounted the camera like literally very close to the ground, it gives the effect of the truck going much, much faster than it really was.
I had an uncle who hated Outer Limits.
You're kidding.
Hated it.
The first season was great.
He thought it was he said, I love television. I got my love of television from this uncle. And he said, I have never hated anything more. He said, Sammy, if you want to watch it, you watch it. I'll leave the room. I'll go make lunch or something. And I could hear him from the other room, and he would make me laugh. I was like 13. He made me laugh. 16. He made me laugh so hard because he'd be there. You cannot control the screen. And you hear my uncle from the other room. Oh, yes, I can, you son of a bitch. Oh, I can control it. I can't control how lousy you are. You suck.
I got your control right here.
You want a little control? How about a little horizontal grip?
That was Vic Perrin, who was the voiceover. He was the voice of Control. And he made his living as an actor, but mainly as a voiceover guy.
You know who looks nothing like the voiceover he actually does? Is the voice of Law and Order.
I wouldn't know who it is. Yeah.
Stephen Thrin-Kilton.
Never seen him.
If you see him, you'll go, the guy looks 24. Looks very young.
Really?
Right.
And that's a very deep song. By the way, you'll get a laugh out of this. I auditioned to be a voiceover. So guess who I'm up against? Paul Hecht.
You're kidding.
Paul Hecht. And I said, what am I, am I going to sit on his lap and he's going to drink water? What the hell? No, what are you doing? I can't go up against him. And I said to him, it's a real privilege to meet you. And he goes, I want to tell you something. He said this to me. He goes, you seem like a really nice kid. What the fuck is wrong with them? Why did they put you up against me? They were looking for a bass baritone. You're not. I said, I know. I go, they think you were going to come in drunk? And he laughed so hard. He said, I don't get it either. I don't.
Did you ever, I don't know if you're familiar with Paul Frees. He was another voiceover guy. Huckleberry Hound. Paul Frees, Frees.
He was Fred Flintstone.
He, amongst other things, he was Huckleberry Hound, a ton of commercials, but he was also the voice of the evil computer in Colossus, the Forbid Project.
I don't understand why you're mad at me, Hal.
Oh, what a fantastic!
I'm afraid
movie.
I can't do that.
Who was that? That was another actor.
Gary Lockwood.
No, it wasn't him. Oh God, I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to see who that. Yeah, but
the actor or the voice.
The voice of Hal. It's a British actor, if I'm not mistaken. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up. He reprised the role in the film 2010, The Year We Make Contact, which is a fun movie. It's not the work of art of 2001, but it's still a fun science fiction movie.
I was so high when I saw that movie. Oh my God.
Right. So was Roy Scheider when he was shooting.
Oh my God. Girlfriend looked over at me and said, "Stop applauding."
Which reminds me, why did Roy Scheider die so young?
Douglas Rain.
Douglas Rain, thank you. Yes.
Why did what?
Why did Roy Scheider die so damn young? Because remember, I mean, he was making movies.
DRINK and SMOKE.
Really? I mean, that one, because he had a great career. Things were going well.
You saw All That Jazz.
Yes, I did.
He wasn't faking those smokes.
Okay. Because Fosse didn't outlive him by much either, did he? Memory serves.
Oh my! You talked about a self-destructive genius. Well, guys, it's 8:59. I wanted to cue everybody.
Yeah.
Time to go. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for another hour of just talking. That's all we did tonight, and of course,
I'm going to a strip club in honor of Hunter Biden. I'm going to a strip club and do a laptop dance.
Well, you enjoy that with that bad bathroom. Anyway, we'll see everybody next week, 8 o'clock. This will be repeatedly on YouTube. If you want to join it on YouTube, like us, subscribe to our channel, and see us back here next Monday night today. Good night, everybody.
Good night, kids. I'm going to kiss my own back now, and I'll see you later.
All right.